It's the end of the year, which means it's time for every YouTuber, including me, to release their list of top 10 favorite games of 2024. Now, I got to play over 35 games this year, and while I did enjoy a lot of the games that released, I also feel like 2024 was a pretty weak year compared to the last two. I personally don't think we got any games that will be remembered in 10 years from now. But don't get me wrong, we still got some bangers this year. And as I go through my list, I'd love it if you guys go ahead and share your list of top games in the comments down below. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up because it helps that YouTube algorithm. Now, let's talk about the best games of 2024. So before we get into my top 10 list, I do want to mention a couple of games that I did not get the chance to play this year, but I've seen trailers, I've seen the reviews, I've seen gameplay, and I know that if I would have played them, there's a chance they would have been on my top 10 list. Those games are Black Myth Wukong, Silent Hill 2, Metaphor ReFantazio, which is probably the biggest one that I'm disappointed I missed out on, Indiana Jones, and Stalker 2. All 5 of these games are games that I know if I spent a little bit of time with, or if I completed them, they would most likely be on this list. Next, I want to bring up some honorable mentions. These are probably my game 11 to 15 of my top 10, so I still want to mention them, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. Helldivers 2, The Outlast Trials, Unicorn Overlord, WWE 2K24 as a big wrestling fan, that was a great game, and Cat Quest 3, which if you're looking for a 2-player co-op game, that's a must play of the year. Now, let's get into my top 10 list. Number 10 on our list is Marvel Rivals, a 6v6 hero shooter game done in third person. So yes, this is an Overwatch clone with a little bit of differences, but the small differences are what made this game really special and fun to me. First of all, it's Marvel, and as a big fan of all the comic book heroes, this made this game very exciting to me. Another big thing about this one is that it has these team up abilities. So if you guys don't know, when you're playing Overwatch, which I'm also a big fan of, if you don't have a full squad, you're going to get pretty tilted, very upset very quickly because you need a full squad to communicate to get the win. And even though that's still the case here, if you have a team of 6, you're going to have the most amount of fun. They have the team up abilities. That means that if you're playing 2 or 3 players and you use the right characters, you can activate these abilities, and it still makes it that you have a chance of winning, even though you're not necessarily communicating with every single character in the team. So, made this game a lot of fun. Even if I sometimes played solo and I saw a certain player on my team pick a certain character, I would team up with them or with 2 or 3 players. But of course, playing as a squad is the most fun. It has a beautiful art style, very similar to Overwatch, but mixed with the Marvel characters that I really enjoyed. And it has great monetization. So this game is free to play, but all the monetization stuff is cosmetic, but they're really generous so far. Don't screw this up with what they have. They also seem to have a great future ahead with a lot of leaked characters already that are coming that are keeping this game very exciting. So hopefully this is going to only get better over time, but it's number 10 at the list for now because I'm still a little bit hesitant about where they go, especially with that monetization. Number 9 on my list is Dragon Age Veilguard, a game that quite honestly surprised me because I've never played any Dragon Age game before this one, but when it released, I was in the mood for a third-person action game, and the timing was really well, so I picked this one up, and I had a blast. I think the combat was excellent, the graphics, the world looks beautiful, and while I did enjoy the story overall, it did have a couple parts that were pretty lame. The ending was incredible. Those last 4 or 5 chapters really surprised me, and I enjoyed all of it, and made me care for a lot of the characters. You're gonna have a main character whose name is Rook that you're gonna create what they look like, and you're gonna find 7 characters that are gonna join, and they each have their own side quests that you can do to get to know them better. While I didn't love all of them, some of their stories were really great, and you're always going to have a squad of 3, so your main character and 2 characters for every quest. Like I said, the biggest thing here was the combat. I loved every single fight, and the ending was really good. If the story was better, it would be higher up on my list, but like I said, kind of had some weird moments, like they try to remind you every 2 minutes who you're fighting, which was getting annoying after a while. Number 8 on our list is Super Mario Party Jamboree. As a huge fan of the Mario Party series, it's had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and lately it's been a lot of bad ones, but we finally got a great Mario Party game with Jamboree. Lots of characters to choose from, a great list of mini games, and 7 pretty sure it's 7 fantastic maps as well. Jamboree also has the buddy system, which means that you can find a secondary character along the way, and it doubles all the things, but every single Jamboree buddy also has its own unique mechanic. Stealing coins from someone, being able to buy certain items on a sale, all that stuff made that the game is just so much more exciting and different every single time you play. I played Mario Party Jamboree every single day for 2 months with my wife or my friends or some family member, and every single time we had a lot of fun. And like I said, the mini games were great. The biggest flaw with this one is that personally I feel like it's missing mini games. It might just be because of how much I played it, but I feel like if you had 50 to 100 more mini games, would be set with one of the best ones ever. Number 7 on my list is not a game, it's a mode. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies mode. Round base is back and I am loving it. We have 3 maps so far and all 3 are fantastic. It has the perfect balance of gameplay for casuals and hardcore players. If you want to just jump in and try and learn how to play zombies, Liberty Falls is there. If you want those hardcore, extremely difficult Easter egg runs, the Terminus map is there for you too. If you've never tried Zombies mode in a Call of Duty game, this is the one I recommend you check out. I love so much about zombies, and I've been playing the Zombies mode all the way since Black Ops 1, but this is the first one in a long time that every single day I hop back in and I'm just trying to hit those Easter eggs, and sometimes I just jump in to get my dailies done. But the 3 maps we have so far are fantastic. It's number 7 on my list, and honestly, it would be higher, but like I said, only 3 maps so far. Let's see where the next ones bring us to. So there's probably a bunch of people who are already going into the comments right now to yell at me for putting a game mode in my top 10 list, but while you're there, go ahead and complain about DLC, because yes, number 6 is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. I know there was a lot of drama about this being at the Game Awards, and even though it's not my game of the year, it's my number 6, so I didn't want it to win, it is still an incredible game, and yes, it is DLC, but it is bigger than most of the games on my list and most games that have released this year. Easily over 40 hours, a ton of bosses, and honestly, a better story than the OG Elden Ring. I am willing to die on that hill that the story in Shadow of the Erdtree is better than the original story of Elden Ring. I had a blast playing through this, and I was honestly surprised because I gotta be honest with you, I may talk about this in the future, I don't think Elden Ring, the original game, is one of the greatest games of all time. I would give it probably an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. But the DLC is closer to a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I just love that there was a lot less wasted stuff in here. I felt like in the original Elden Ring, there was a lot of areas you'd go to, and just like the same boss you fought, but a different color with a different name. This didn't have that. Every single area you went to was terrifying, challenging, and difficult, but controlled. You can complete this, and that's what I love about it. This was one of the best DLCs. I think it was also just $40. If you have played Elden Ring, highly recommend you play this. I'd be shocked that someone hasn't played the DLC yet. And if you've never played Elden Ring before, I wish I could tell you you could jump right into it, but unfortunately you can't. And that's why it's not higher up on my list. You do have to basically have completed original Elden Ring to even try Shadow of the Erdtree, which is a bit of a disappointment, but still a fantastic game. Highly recommend you try out this DLC. So I was gonna actually release this video a while ago, but I missed out on one specific game that I really wanted to play before doing my top 10 list, because as soon as I saw it, I said, this is definitely going to be in my top 5, and it's this right here, Nine Souls. It's basically a Metroidvania with Sekiro-style combat where you're going to counter a lot, and this was incredible. As a huge fan of Metroidvanias, I loved playing this game, and I'll be honest with you, this was my number 1 game of the year until I hit the final boss. I beat this game at 21 hours, and it took me 7.5 hours to beat the final boss, which to me, I know I love a challenge. That was a bit excessive. I feel like they went a little way too extreme with that last boss, taking me 7 hours just to beat him. Maybe I suck at video games, but I honestly was powering through the rest of the game, no problem. Every single boss, 1 or 2 tries. But that final one was ridiculous. Love the story, love the art style. Everything about this game is fantastic. But man, that final boss really triggered me. So I'm putting this at number 5. fantastic. If you're a fan of Sekiro, Souls-like, and Metroidvania, this is a must play. So as we get into our top 4 list, I want to make it very clear that number 4, 3, 2, and 1 can easily swap places depending on the day and depending on my mood. But as I'm recording this, my number 4 game is Astro Bot, which won the Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and I was very excited to see that, so good for them. This is a 3D platformer similar to the Mario games, and if it wasn't for Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, I think that this would be the best platformer of all time. I know I'm saying a lot here, but that's how much I really like this game. It is a fantastic nostalgia tip for all PlayStation fans. But even if you're not a fan of PlayStation, these levels are incredible. As you guys can see right here, the graphics are beautiful. The music is fantastic. The remixes of the God of War theme, the Horizon theme, and all the other are fantastic. And it has room to grow. As I was playing this, there was a couple times I was wondering, where are these characters? It was missing more. So there's room for a sequel to this game. But this is an incredible one. If you've never played a platformer before, this is a must play. If you have a family and little kids that you want to get them into video games, this is a must play. If you're a fan of PlayStation, this is a must play. And if you've never tried any of it, still check this out. I still think you're going to have a lot of fun. I don't know anyone who could play this and not have a fun time, or at least smile as they go through it. Fantastic game. 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Number 3 on our list is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, a Metroidvania reboot of the Prince of Persia universe, and I love this. I have never really gotten into Prince of Persia before, so it was fun to get into a reboot here with new characters, and I really love the story. It had a couple twists that I did not personally expect, and a fantastic story from beginning to end. Great platforming, fantastic combat, and lots of fun bosses, and a perfect balance of challenges. So it felt like it was a really good level as you went through it. Didn't feel like there was any extra hard bosses right in the middle. It felt like every single one got progressively more difficult, and I love that. It also had a photo mechanic that I absolutely love for a Metroidvania game, which is every time you find a puzzle that you don't know how to solve, you can take a picture of it, and then later on in the game, when you unlock something new, you can go back and look at every photo you've taken and find which puzzle that can solve. Fantastic. It made playing any other Metroidvania game impossible after that. I love that mechanic, and I hope that every future game will inspire itself of Prince of Persia because of that. So yes, fantastic. Awesome gameplay, highly recommended. Unfortunate that with all the Ubisoft layoffs right now, doesn't seem like we're going to get a sequel, but if you have the chance, check out this game. It must be pretty cheap now as well. My number 2 game of the year is Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Yakuza 9, I'm guessing at this point. What a surprise this was. So if you guys don't know, I've never played a Yakuza game before, and I saw the trailer for this and I was like, this looks incredible. From everything from the combat being an RPG style, to the mini games, to the story, to the graphics, to the world that it set up. Everything spoke to me from before. So what I did is, a week before this game released, I went back and watched a bunch of YouTube videos to understand the whole story of Yakuza 0 all the way to Yakuza 8 so that I can jump into Yakuza Like a Dragon. And man, what a game. I cannot remember the last time a game made me cry and laugh in like succession, from the story to the mini games to the ridiculousness and the combat just being incredibly fun. This was a game that I wish never ended, and I cannot wait for the sequel that's going to be coming out now with Majima in it, that's coming in like 2 months, where we have to play as pirates. If you've never played a Yakuza game before, please give this one a shot. I wish I could speak for all the other games, but like I said, I have to go back and play them. This surprised the hell out of me. I love this game beginning to end. The only reason it's not my number 1 is because there are some parts throughout the story that I didn't love, and it might just be because I haven't played the old one, so there were some characters that I was a bit confused as to why they were there. So this would probably be my game of the year if I've played all the others before and I had a bit more knowledge of the world of Yakuza. But even then, coming in as a brand new player and having this number 2, I'm telling you, this was incredible. You're probably seeing this and wondering what the heck is going on. Exactly. There's a Pokemon system that you can capture some people. There's a taxi mechanic, like mini game, where you have to steal deliver stuff, sorry, like a, what is it, Crazy Taxi, but with delivery. There are so many hilarious things to do, and like I said, the combat was excellent throughout, and a fairly long game. I think I platinumed it with about 80 to 100 hours in total. And for the second year in a row, my number 1 game of the year is a Final Fantasy game. Last year was Final Fantasy 16. This year, number 1 is Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. To probably nobody's surprise, if you know me and if you've been following my content for a long time, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is part 2 of the remake of the original game, which was one of my favorite games of all time, but it had a lot of new story elements to it. I loved every single aspect of this, except the ending. I'm one of the ones who did not love the ending of this game. But if you take away those last 5 minutes, I still got over 100 incredible hours, from the mini games to the open world to the side quests to the main story to the cast of characters. Everything about this game was incredible, including, and most importantly, the music. The soundtrack to this game was incredible. So if you haven't played it, definitely check it out. You do need to play Final Fantasy VII Remake first, but this was a must play in my opinion. And I'm really disappointed to see that they were saying that the sales weren't up to what they wanted. So there's like chances. I'm pretty sure we're still going to get the third game, but apparently there's rumors that maybe they're going to have to do something with the third game because of the sales of this one. I don't know, man. I think they should just release it on every single console and then we'll be fine. But yes, I'm not trying to spoil anything. Take away the ending, those last 5 minutes that I was not a fan of. Every single other beat in this game was incredible. I loved all the storytelling as well. So please check out Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And that's my list of top 10 best games of 2024. What's your list? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because next up I'm going to make a list of the worst games I've played of the year and the most anticipated of 2025. 2025 is looking like it's going to be a fantastic year and I can't wait to talk about that. So make sure to comment, subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.